Story 1, The Mirror Convoy. The truck behind me had been following for 93 miles, matching my speed exactly, and I just realized it was my own rig. Same Kenworth W900, same mud flaps, same dent in the left fender from that loading dock in Topeka. Even the same company logo. When I tapped my brakes, it tapped its brakes. When I changed lanes, it changed lanes 3 seconds later, like watching a delayed reflection. The driver's face was too far back to see clearly, but something about the silhouette made my bladder clench. My name is Robert Hayes, and I'd been hauling refrigerated goods across Interstate 40 for Midwest Express for 11 years. This run was supposed to be simple: frozen turkeys from Arkansas to Phoenix for Thanksgiving distribution. Nothing I hadn't done dozens of times before. But I'd never had someone tail me like this, never had that sick feeling in my gut that told me something was fundamentally wrong with reality. I grabbed my CB radio. "Breaker, breaker, this is Frost Giant. Anyone got eyes on a white Kenworth about a quarter-mile behind me, eastbound at mile marker 187. Static crackled, then a voice, distorted but clear enough. "Frost Giant, this is Bear Claw. I'm about 5 miles ahead of you. Ain't nobody behind you, buddy. Road's clear for at least 3 miles back." I checked my side mirror again. The truck was still there, maintaining that exact distance. The sun was setting behind it, turning the windshield into a rectangle of burning orange that made it impossible to see the driver. My hands had started sweating on the steering wheel. "Bear Claw, I'm looking right at it. White Kenworth, same rig as mine." Silence, then, "Frost Giant, I'm pulling over at the next rest stop. Think you might need to take a break, get some coffee." I'd been driving for 9 hours straight. Maybe he was right. Maybe exhaustion was making me see things. But the truck was still there, and when I squinted at it, I could swear the trailer configuration was identical to mine. Same refrigeration unit, same wear patterns on the paint. I decided to test it. Without signaling, I jerked into the right lane. 3 seconds later, the truck behind me did the same. I jerked back into the left lane. 3 seconds. Left lane. 3 seconds. My heart was hammering now, and I could feel sweat trickling down my spine despite the cab's air conditioning being set to 65 degrees. The sky was darkening rapidly, that specific November twilight that turns everything gray and uncertain. I pushed my speed up to 80. The truck matched me. 85, still matched. I grabbed my phone to take a picture, but when I held it up to the mirror, the screen went black. Not dead, just black, like something was actively blocking it from capturing the image. "Fuck this," I muttered and slammed the accelerator. My Kenworth surged forward, the Jake brake disengaging as I pushed toward 90. The trailer swayed slightly behind me, 22 tons of frozen turkeys shifting. I watched the mirror. The other truck accelerated too, maintaining that exact distance. Then I noticed something that made my blood turn cold. In the fading light, I could see that the license plate numbers were identical to mine. Letter for letter, number for number. I kept accelerating. 95, 100. The engine roared, and I knew I was being reckless, knew I could jackknife at this speed, but pure animal panic had taken over. The truck behind me matched every mile per hour. A sign flashed past, "Rest stop 2 miles." I'd pull in there, get out. See this impossible truck up close. Confront whatever this was. My breathing was shallow, rapid. The rest stop sign came into view ahead, and I started braking, downshifting, feeling the familiar shudder as I brought the rig under control. The truck behind me started braking too. I pulled into the rest stop, swinging wide into a truck parking space near the back, away from the handful of cars and RVs near the facilities building. My hands were shaking as I put the rig in park and set the brake. The other truck pulled in 3 spaces down. I sat there staring at it through my side mirror. The engine was running. I could see the exhaust in the gathering darkness. Everything about it was identical. Everything. The trailer even had the same mud splatter pattern on the undercarriage. I grabbed my flashlight from the side compartment and opened the door. The November air was cold, probably 40 degrees, but I was sweating. My boots hit the pavement, and I walked toward the other truck slowly, flashlight raised. As I got closer, I could see through the windshield. There was someone in the driver's seat. I raised the flashlight higher, the beam cutting through the darkness. The face looking back at me was my own. Not similar, not a relative. Mine. Same scar over the left eyebrow from that bar fight in Tulsa. Same crooked nose from high school football. Same receding hairline. He smiled at me and I felt my bladder almost let go. Then he raised his hand and pointed at my truck. I spun around. There was another truck, another identical Kenworth parked on the other side of mine, and another beyond that, and another. The parking lot was filling with them, white Kenworths with identical configurations, appearing silently, surrounding my original rig. I ran back to my truck, yanked the door open, and climbed in. My hands fumbled with the keys, and the engine roared to life. I threw it into gear and accelerated out of the parking space, nearly sideswiping one of the doppelganger trucks. They all started moving at once. I burst out of the rest stop and back onto I-40, pushing the accelerator to the floor. In my mirrors, I could see them following, a convoy of impossible twins, all maintaining that same distance. One behind me, 2, 5, 10, 20. The highway behind me was filled with white Kenworths, all identical, all following. My CB crackled to life. "Robert," my voice coming through the speaker. "Robert, you can't outrun us." I switched it off, but it kept transmitting. "We've been following you for years, Robert. Every mile you drive, every turn. We're the roads you didn't take, the decisions you didn't make. We're every version of you that chose differently." I was sobbing now, tears streaming down my face as I pushed the truck beyond its limits. The speedometer hit 105, 110. The trailer was swaying dangerously, and I knew I was seconds from losing control. "There's a version of you that turned left in Springfield instead of right," the voice continued. "A version that stopped for that hitchhiker in Missouri, a version that took the job in Seattle instead of staying in Texas. We're all here now, Robert, all catching up." The truck shuddered violently, and I felt the trailer begin to jackknife. I was going to crash. I was going to die. But when I looked in the mirrors, the convoy was getting closer, close enough now that I could see all the drivers clearly. They all had my face, but the expressions were different. One was screaming, one was laughing, one was crying. One had blood streaming from his eyes, one's face was rotting, flesh peeling away from bone. One was burning, flames licking up from his collar. They were all versions of me, but they were all dying in different ways. The jackknife completed, and my truck left the highway. Time seemed to slow as I rolled, once, twice, 3 times, metal screaming, glass shattering, cargo exploding into thousands of frozen turkeys that rained across the interstate. I should have died in that moment, but I didn't. When I crawled out of the wreckage, bleeding and broken, the convoy had stopped on the highway above. All those identical trucks lined up idling. All those drivers with my face watching me. And then they just drove away, one by one, continuing down I-40 until the highway was empty again. That was 4 years ago. I don't drive trucks anymore. But sometimes, late at night, I'll be driving my car and I'll see a white Kenworth in my rearview mirror. It never gets closer, never falls back. It's just there, maintaining that same distance, and I know that somewhere out there, on some other version of I-40, all those other versions of me are still driving, still following, waiting for the moment when all the roads converge again. The doctors say the brain injury from the crash gave me PTSD, that I'm confusing memory and imagination. But they can't explain the security footage from the rest stop. The police showed it to me once, thinking it would help with therapy. In the footage, I'm parked alone. There are no other trucks. I sit in my cab for 17 minutes just staring at nothing. Then I get out, walk to an empty space, stand there talking to the air, and run back to my truck screaming. But in the edge of the frame, just barely visible in the darkness beyond the floodlights, you can see them. Dozens of white Kenworths. Hundreds maybe, all parked in the darkness, all watching, and if you look very closely at the windshields, you can see faces. They all look like me. Story 2, the weigh station. The digital scale read 242,891 pounds, and I was only hauling 12,000. Patricia Sullivan, 26 years old, third-generation trucker, and I'd just somehow gained 230,000 pounds between the loading dock and the way station 43 miles down Highway 87. The state trooper was walking back to my cab, and his face had gone white. "Ma'am, you need to step out of the vehicle," he said, his voice tight. His hand was on his gun. "There's got to be a malfunction with the scale," I said, trying to keep my voice steady. "I've got the bills of lading right here, washing machines and dryers, 12,000 pounds total. The scale's been recalibrated twice this week. It's not wrong." He opened my door. "Step out now." I climbed down, and he walked me back to the scale house while another trooper ached my trailer. Through the window, I watched him open the rear doors. He stumbled backward and vomited. The first trooper ran over, and I followed despite him yelling at me to stay put. When I reached the trailer, I looked inside and my knees buckled. The washing machines and dryers were still there, secured with the same straps I'd used. But filling every other inch of space, packed so tightly they bulged against the walls, were bodies. Human bodies, hundreds of them. Thousands, maybe. They were compressed together, flattened, overlapping, all gray and waxy like they'd been dead for weeks. The smell hit me a second later, and I doubled over, retching. There wasn't," I couldn't form words. "When I loaded in Denver, there was nothing, just the appliances." The troopers had their guns out now, pointed at me, and they were shouting into radios. More units were responding. I could hear sirens in the distance. "I swear to God, I don't know where they came from," I was screaming now. "Check the security footage at the loading dock. Check it. I loaded in Denver 6 hours ago, and there was nothing but washing machines." They handcuffed me, pushed me into the back of a patrol car. Through the window, I watched more troopers arrive, then FBI, then people in hazmat suits. They started unloading the bodies, laying them out on the pavement in rows. The rows went on and on and on. A detective came to question me 3 hours later. She was older, maybe 50, with gray-streaked hair and eyes that had seen too much. "Ms. Sullivan, we've identified some of the deceased. I need you to listen carefully to what I'm about to tell you." She paused, studying my face. "These people died between 1962 and 2007. They've been dead for decades." "That's impossible." "We know. We also pulled the loading dock footage from Denver. You're right, you only loaded appliances. The trailer was empty except for the cargo." She leaned closer. "Tell me exactly what route you took, every turn, every stop." I walked her through it. Loaded at 6 a.m. in Denver. Took Highway 87 south toward New Mexico. No stops except one gas station outside Castle Rock, and I didn't even open the trailer. "Did you go through any tunnels? Any areas where you lost GPS signal?" I thought back. "Yeah, there's that stretch through the mountains. I lost signal for maybe 20 minutes, but I've driven that route a dozen times. There's no tunnel, just heavy tree cover." Her expression changed. "What time did you enter that stretch?" "Around 9:30 a.m. She pulled out a map and spread it on the table. "Show me exactly where." I traced the route with my finger. She circled an area and then pulled out her phone, scrolling through something. Her face went paler. "Ms. Sullivan, there's no Highway 87 through that section anymore. There was one, but it was decommissioned in 1998 after a series of accidents. The one you're describing, it doesn't exist on current maps." "I just drove it. There were mile markers, road signs, everything." "I believe you." She showed me her phone. It was a news article from 1987. "Multiple vehicles vanish on Highway 87. Search continues for missing drivers." She swiped to another article from 1995. "Highway 87 death toll reaches 47. State considers closure." Another from 1998. "Highway 87 officially closed. Barricades installed." 47 deaths, she said quietly. Over 36 years, people just disappeared. Some were found crashed in impossible locations, ravines that weren't visible from the road, forests that were miles away from the highway. Some were never found at all. She paused. "Until now." My mouth had gone dry. "You're saying I drove on a road that doesn't exist and picked up dead people from a 40-year span?" "I'm saying something is very wrong with that stretch of highway, and you somehow accessed something, somewhere, a version of the road that still exists in some way." She pulled up another image. a satellite view. Look at this. The area she'd circled showed dense forest. No road. No sign there had ever been a highway. But I was on pavement, I whispered. I saw the paint lines, the mile markers. How many other vehicles did you see during that 20-minute stretch? I thought back, trying to remember. The mountain stretch, the trees, the... Nothing. I hadn't seen a single other car. Not one. For 20 minutes on a major highway. None, I said. Because you weren't on the real highway anymore. You were somewhere else, some echo of it. And when you came back through, you brought something with you. They let me go eventually. No charges. What could they charge me with? The loading dock footage proved I'd loaded exactly what the manifest said. Every body they'd unloaded was decades old, had been dead long before I was born. There was no crime they could pin on me. But they wouldn't let me have my truck back. It's been impounded, they said. Evidence. Investigation ongoing. I went home to my apartment in Santa Fe and tried to sleep. Couldn't. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw those bodies compressed together, gray faces pushed against the trailer walls. Around 3 a.m., my phone rang. Unknown number. Hello. Static, then underneath it, voices. Multiple voices, all talking over each other. I could make out fragments. Help me. It's so cold. Where am I? I've been driving for days. Can't find the exit. Please. I hung up. The phone rang again immediately. I didn't answer. It rang 17 times before stopping. I turned on every light in my apartment and made coffee. The sun would be up in 3 hours. I just had to make it until dawn. At 4:15 a.m., someone knocked on my door. 6 hard knocks, evenly spaced. I looked through the peephole. A woman stood in the hallway. She was wearing clothes from the 1970s, bell-bottoms and a paisley shirt. Her hair was styled in an old-fashioned way. She looked normal except for the fact that she was gray, the same waxy gray as the bodies in my trailer. She knocked again, 6 knocks, evenly spaced. Go away, I said, my voice cracking. She tilted her head, and when she spoke, her voice came from everywhere at once, behind me, beside me, inside my skull. You carried us out. You have to take us back. I don't know how. I don't even know where I took you from. The road, the one that's still there, the one that's always been there underneath. She pressed her palm against the door, and I watched frost spread out from her touch, crackling across the wood. We've been waiting so long, trapped, but you found the way through. You have to take us back. I don't want to. I'm never driving that route again. You don't have a choice. She smiled, and her teeth were black. You're part of it now. You've driven the ghost road. It knows you. It will call you back. The lights in my apartment flickered and went out. In the darkness, I heard footsteps. Multiple sets, walking toward me from every direction. The sound of clothes rustling, breathing, whispers. I ran to my bedroom, locked the door, and pushed my dresser against it. Through the gap at the bottom of the door, I could see shadows moving. Many shadows. They stayed until dawn. When the sun came up, they were gone. The apartment was empty. The frost on the door had melted, leaving just water dripping down to the floor. I called the detective, told her everything. She listened without interrupting. Ms. Sullivan, I need to tell you something. We unloaded 347 bodies from your trailer. But when we went back this morning to continue processing, there were only 346. My hands started shaking. Where's the missing body? We don't know, but we checked the security footage from the impound lot. At 3:47 a.m., your trailer doors opened from the inside. Something walked out. What did it look like? A woman, 1970s clothes. The footage cuts out after that, some kind of electromagnetic interference. She paused. Ms. Sullivan, were you at home at 3:47 a.m.? Yes. Was anyone with you? I thought about the woman at my door, her gray skin, her black teeth. No, I was alone. The detective didn't believe me. I could hear it in her silence. That was 6 months ago. They eventually released my truck, but I sold it. Couldn't bring myself to drive it again. I got a job at a warehouse forklift operator, anything to stay off the highways. But 3 weeks ago, I got a letter. No return address. Inside was a single sheet of paper with an address written on it, and below that, a sentence. Pick up November 23rd, 6 a.m. November 23rd, that's today, Thanksgiving. The address is a loading dock in Denver, the same one where I loaded the appliances. I keep telling myself I won't go, I'll ignore it, but I woke up this morning and I was already dressed. My keys were in my hand. I don't remember getting out of bed. I'm in my car now, driving north toward Denver. I don't want to be. I'm trying to turn around, but my hands won't move on the wheel. Something is pulling me back, pulling me toward that loading dock, toward whatever is waiting there. The GPS says I'll arrive at 5:47 a.m., 13 minutes early. In my rearview mirror, I can see cars behind me, normal traffic. But as I watch, one by one, they turn off, exit the highway, until I'm alone on the road. The mile markers are counting up. I'm getting closer. And I just passed a sign that shouldn't exist. Highway 87 South, next exit. My hands are turning the wheel. Story 3, the cargo screams. The shrieking started at mile marker 412, somewhere in the empty stretch of Nevada desert where nothing lives and nothing should make sound. Marcus Chen, 15 years driving pharmaceuticals cross-country, and I'd never heard anything like it. High-pitched, oscillating, almost mechanical but organic enough to make my skin crawl. It was coming from inside my trailer. The manifest said I was carrying insulin, Herdy pallets of insulin in temperature-controlled containers, heading from a lab in Salt Lake City to distribution centers in Los Angeles. Climate-controlled pharmaceutical cargo, nothing that could make noise. But the screaming was getting louder. I pulled over, flashers on, and grabbed my flashlight. The sun had set an hour ago, and the desert darkness was absolute. No other vehicles on this stretch of Highway 95, just me and the screaming. When I opened the trailer doors, the refrigeration unit was running normally, 40 degrees exactly as specified. The pallets were secured, straps tight. Everything looked normal. The screaming stopped. I stood there listening. Wind, my own breathing, the hum of the reefer unit, nothing else. Probably a belt slipping, I muttered, but I didn't believe it. I'd been around trucks long enough to know every sound they made, and this hadn't been mechanical. This had been. The scream erupted again, so loud I dropped the flashlight. It was coming from the pallets. I watched the boxes shake, vibrate, and then, impossible, they began to move, not from road vibration. They were moving on their own, sliding across the pallet surfaces like something inside was trying to get out. I stumbled backward, nearly fell out of the trailer. The boxes were ripping open now, cardboard tearing from the inside. White foam packaging spilled out and underneath. Not insulin, not medical supplies. Eyes, human eyes. Hundreds of them still attached to optic nerves, still moving, still alive somehow, all staring at me from inside the torn boxes. And they were screaming. The eyes were screaming. I ran back to the cab, yanked open the door, grabbed my phone. No signal. Of course, no fucking signal, not out here. The nearest town was 60 miles back. I'd been driving through empty desert for 2 hours. Think, I tried to steady my breathing. Some kind of prank, had to be. Special effects, sophisticated fucking special effects, but not real. Eyes didn't scream. Eyes didn't move without bodies. But I could hear them, all of them. Hundreds of voices, high and keening, coming from my trailer. I called the depot number, straight to voicemail. I called my dispatcher, voicemail. I called 911. It rang and rang and rang. No answer. The screaming was getting more complex now, not just raw sound. I could hear words forming. Help, please. Where are we? I can't see. I can't see anything except... Overlapping, dozens of voices, all begging, all terrified. I had to drive, had to get to somewhere with people, with help. I climbed back in the cab, threw it in gear, and accelerated. The screaming followed me, muffled by the trailer walls, but constant, never stopping. Mile marker 415, 420, 425, still no other vehicles. No lights except my own headlights cutting through the darkness. My CB radio crackled to life. Breaker 19, this is Desert Rat, anybody out there? I grabbed the microphone. This is Frost Phoenix, yes, I'm here, I need help. Frost Phoenix, where you at? Highway 95, northbound, just past mile marker 430. There's something wrong with my cargo. Static, then. Frost Phoenix, there ain't no mile marker 430 on Highway 95. Road ends at 387, you copy? That's impossible. I'm looking at the marker right now. Son, I'm looking at a map. Highway 95 north ends at 387, then you gotta merge onto I-80. You've been driving for 43 miles on a road that don't exist. The radio went dead. I checked my GPS. It showed me on Highway 95, mile marker 433 now. But when I zoomed out, the highway did end at 387, exactly like Desert Rat said. The GPS was showing me on a road that wasn't on the map. The screaming intensified and I heard new sounds. Thumping, something, many somethings hitting the trailer walls from inside. Bang, 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 a rhythm forming. Then my headlights caught something ahead, a figure standing in the middle of the road. I slammed the brakes and the truck shuddered to a stop maybe 10 feet from it. It was a man, or had been. He was wearing a white lab coat, but it was covered in blood and other fluids I didn't want to identify. His face was wrong, too smooth like it had been sanded down, features blurred. And where his eyes should have been were just smooth skin and stitches. He tilted his head toward me, and when he spoke, his voice came from the trailer behind me, from all those screaming eyes. "You shouldn't have stopped at the depot," he said through hundreds of mouths. "You shouldn't have signed the manifest, now you're part of the trial." "What trial?" He smiled, and I realized his mouth was the only feature he had left. Everything else was smooth and blank. "The consciousness transference trial. We separate the visual cortex from the body. We keep it alive, keep it aware. We're trying to determine if consciousness can exist in purely optical form." He took a step closer. "It's working. They're still conscious, all of them. They can see. They can feel. They can scream. This is insane. Let them die, you have to let them." "We can't, that's the problem. The process is irreversible. They'll stay conscious forever, just eyes and optic nerves, seeing, experiencing, unable to die." Another step. "We need to transport them. We need drivers who can handle the routes." "What routes?" "The ones that don't exist. The ones between places. You're a transporter now. You've entered the network." He was right next to my window. I could smell him, formaldehyde and decay. "You'll drive this cargo forever, deliver it nowhere, pick up more. They're conducting the trials in every city, thousands of subjects, all needing transport through the between spaces." I floored the accelerator. The truck lurched forward, and I felt the sickening bump as I ran over him. In my mirror, I saw him stand back up, impossible, and wave. Mile marker 450, 475, 500. The numbers kept climbing. The highway stretched on endlessly through the darkness, and the screaming never stopped. I tried the CB again. Nothing. Phone. Nothing. The trailer was rocking now, whatever was inside thrashing violently. Then I saw lights ahead. A building. A truck stop glowing like salvation in the darkness. I pulled in, nearly weeping with relief. Other trucks were parked. I could see people moving in the diner windows. Real people, normal people. I parked and ran inside. A waitress looked up, smiled. "Coffee, honey." "Call the police, call someone. There's my cargo." She kept smiling. "What about your cargo?" "It's theirs." I realized everyone in the diner was looking at me. A dozen people all smiling, all with the same smooth, featureless faces, only mouths visible. "Welcome to Way Station 17, the waitress said. "You must be tired. Most drivers are their first time through. It gets easier." Let me out of here." "You can leave any time, but your cargo stays with you. You signed for it. You accepted delivery." She poured coffee I hadn't ordered. "And there's more waiting. 3 more pickups tonight, then 4 tomorrow. The trial is expanding." I ran back to my truck. Other drivers were emerging from theirs, all with the same smooth faces, all smiling. They waved at me. I got in the cab and drove, back onto the highway that didn't exist. The mile markers kept counting up. 600, 700, 1,000. The screaming became my soundtrack. After a while, I started to understand the words. They were begging me to crash, to end this, to kill them and myself and stop the delivery. But I couldn't. My hands wouldn't leave the wheel. The truck kept driving, and I was just a passenger in my own body. I don't know how long I've been driving. Days, weeks. The sun never comes up here. The highway never ends. I pass through way stations, and they load more cargo, more boxes that scream. The trailer has to be impossibly full by now, but they keep loading. Sometimes I see other trucks, other drivers trapped like me. We pass each other, and I can see their faces, still normal, still human, but stretched thin with terror and exhaustion. My phone rang once. It was my wife. I tried to tell her where I was, but the words that came out of my mouth were, "Running late, be home Tuesday." That was 400,000 miles ago, according to the odometer. I just passed mile marker, 2,847,903. The cargo is singing now, not screaming, singing. A harmony of voices, hundreds of thousands of them, all the eyes I've picked up at all the way stations, all singing the same wordless tune. And I'm starting to understand it, starting to hear the message in the melody. We're not going anywhere, we're not delivering anything. We're the storage, we're the experiment. How long can consciousness persist in movement? How long can awareness survive without destination? Forever, apparently. The answer is forever. Story 4, The Doppelganger Delivery. I dropped off Jennifer Torres at the warehouse in Memphis, helped her unload 40 pallets of automotive parts, and watched her drive away in my truck. Which should have been impossible because I am Jennifer Torres, and I was still standing on the loading dock. The woman who drove away had my face, my voice, my truck, my life, and the warehouse supervisor didn't even blink. Let me go back 6 hours. I'd picked up the load in Louisville at 4 a.m., standard freight, nothing unusual. Jennifer Torres, 32, been driving for Consolidated Freight for 8 years. Divorced, no kids, lived alone in a studio in Nashville. The load was routine, auto parts for 3 different drop points, Memphis first, then Little Rock, then Dallas. The drive to Memphis was normal. I listened to a podcast about true crime, drank coffee from my thermos, watched the sun come up over the Mississippi farmland. Everything was fine until I pulled into the delivery warehouse at 10:17 a.m. I backed up to the dock, set the brake, and climbed out. The warehouse supervisor, a guy named Keith I'd delivered here before, came out with his clipboard. "Morning. NG, Jennifer, let's get you unloaded." "Morning, Keiths." We walked to the trailer and I opened the doors. The pallets were secure, properly arranged. Keith's forklift operator started unloading. "You making good time?" Keith asked. "Yeah, traffic was light." "Good, good. Hey, did you get a chance to try that barbecue place I told you about last time?" I had no idea what he was talking about. "Not yet, next trip." He shrugged, marked something on his clipboard, and went back inside. I walked around the building to use the restroom. When I came back 2 minutes later, my truck was gone. Just gone, empty parking space. I stood there staring at where it had been. I ran back to Keith. "Where's my truck?" He looked up from his computer. "You just left, like 30 seconds ago." "What? No, I was in the bathroom." "Jennifer, I watched you climb in and drive off." He pointed at the security monitor. I could see the loading dock, could see my truck pulling away. Could see myself, my exact self, waving at Keith through the window. "That's not me. I'm right here. That's someone else." Keith's expression changed. Confusion, then concern. "Jennifer, are you feeling okay? Do you need to sit down?" "I'm telling you, someone stole my truck." He rewound the security footage. I watched myself, except it wasn't me, park the truck, get out, walk around the building. A minute passed. Then the footage showed me, not me, returning, climbing back in the truck and driving away. Keith and the forklift operator waved, everything normal. Except I'd been in the bathroom. I'd never gone back to the truck. "Keith, that's not me. Look closely, please." He studied the footage. The woman looked exactly like me. Same height, same build, same face, same ponytail, same blue jacket. Identical. "Jennifer, that's you. I don't know what kind of game this is. Check my ID, look at it. I pulled out my driver's license, my commercial license, my company ID. He looked at them, looked at me, looked at the screen. I don't understand what you want me to say. Call my dispatcher, tell them someone stole my truck. He made the call, reluctant but humoring me. I heard him explain the situation, heard him say, yes, she's standing right here insisting someone else drove away with her truck. He handed me the phone. My dispatcher, Carol, sounded annoyed. Tours, what the hell is this about? Carol, someone who looks exactly like me stole my truck. I need you to track the GPS, stop the vehicle. Jennifer, I'm looking at the GPS right now. Your truck is on I-40 westbound, right on schedule. You're heading to Little Rock for your second delivery. That's impossible. I'm in Memphis. I'm standing at the warehouse. Silence, then, Jennifer, are you using drugs? What? No. Because this sounds like a psychotic break. I'm going to need you to go to a hospital and get evaluated before you drive again. Carol, please, just listen. She hung up. Keith was backing away from me. I think you should leave. You have to help me. Someone is impersonating me. They have my truck, my cargo. Jennifer, I'm going to call the police if you don't leave right now. I left, walked out into the Memphis heat. No truck, no way to get home, no way to prove I was me. I called my own phone. It rang 4 times, then someone answered. My voice said, "Hey." "Who is this?" I demanded. "It's you, me. Well, it's complicated." I was shaking. "Where are you going with my truck?" "Our truck, I'm making the deliveries. Little Rock, then Dallas, don't worry, I know all the routes. I know everything you know." "That's impossible." "Is it? Think about last Tuesday. You were driving through Arkansas and you got really tired around 3 p.m. You pulled over at a rest stop and fell asleep for 20 minutes. Remember?" I did remember. I'd been exhausted, fighting to stay awake. "While you were asleep, the truck kept driving. You just didn't know it. I drove for you. I've been driving for you for months. Every time you zone out, every time you're not quite paying attention, every time you blur the line between awake and asleep. I've been there, taking the wheel." "You're not real, you're not." "I'm more real than you now. I've been practicing, learning. I can exist outside the truck now. I can exist when you're fully awake. I don't need you anymore." "What do you want?" "I want your life. I want to be the one who exists. You've been tired, Jennifer, tired for years. You hate this job. You hate the loneliness. You hate waking up in different cities and not remembering the drive. So I'm taking over. You can rest now." The call ended. I tried calling back, straight to voicemail, my own voice. "This is Jennifer, leave a message." I took an Uber to the police station, tried to file a report. The officer listened, typed slowly on his computer, and then showed me something. "Ma'am, according to our system, your truck was pulled over for a brake light issue about 40 minutes ago. Officer Denny ran your license. You were driving. It says right here, Jennifer Torres, verified ID, vehicle released with a warning." That wasn't me. The officer's body cam footage is uploading now. Let me pull it up. We watched together. My truck pulled over on the side of I-40. An officer approached. The driver's window rolled down and I not me smiled at him, handed over a license. The officer ran it, handed it back, gave a warning about the brake light. The woman driving thanked him. She looked exactly like me, moved like me, talked like me. "Ma'am, I don't know what to tell you. That's clearly you." I spent 2 hours at the police station trying to convince them. They finally suggested I go to a hospital, psychiatric evaluation. I left before they could force the issue. I took another Uber, this time to Little Rock. If I could get there before the other me finished the delivery, maybe I could confront her. Prove to someone, anyone, that there were 2 of us. The drive took 3 hours. I tracked my truck's GPS using the company app on my phone. It was already at the Little Rock warehouse when I arrived. I ran inside. The delivery was complete. The warehouse manager was closing up. "Did Jennifer Torres just leave?" "Yeah, about 10 minutes ago. Heading to Dallas, you know her." "I am hers." He gave me a strange look. Okay. What did she look like? Like Jennifer. I don't know what you want me to say. She looked like she always does. I ran back outside, but the truck was gone. I checked the GPS. Already on I-30, heading southwest toward Dallas. I couldn't afford another Uber that far. I was running out of money. I sat on the curb outside the warehouse and tried to think. My phone rang. Unknown number. Hello. Jennifer, this is Carol. I'm calling to let you know we're terminating your employment effective immediately. What? Why? You failed to complete your deliveries. Your truck is currently abandoned at a rest stop outside Dallas, and you're not responding to GPS summons. We're sending a recovery team. I completed the deliveries. Check with the warehouses. The deliveries were completed, but our GPS shows you left the truck 3 hours ago and haven't returned. That's vehicle abandonment. Security found your phone and ID in the cab. Where are you, Jennifer? My phone, my ID. I looked down at my hands. I was holding my phone. I reached for my wallet. My ID was inside. But she had them. The other me, she had copies. I'm in Little Rock. I'm trying to. You're in Little Rock? Jennifer, the truck is in Dallas. Why are you in Little Rock? I couldn't explain. Any explanation made me sound insane. Never mind, I whispered and hung up. I checked social media. My accounts. The other me had been posting. Pictures from the road, comments about the weather in Dallas, plans for next week's routes, living my life better than I had been. I looked at the posts from the last few months. Had I written them, or had she? I couldn't tell, the line was blurred. I remembered mornings waking up in the truck, unsure how I'd gotten to my current location. Hours I couldn't account for. Conversations I didn't remember having. How long had there been two of me? Or had there always been two, and I was just the one who was fading out? I called my mother. She answered on the third ring. Jennifer, I was just about to call you. Thank you so much for the flowers. They're beautiful. What flowers? The ones you sent for my birthday. They arrived this morning. The card said, "Love you, Mom," in your handwriting. My mother's birthday, I'd forgotten, but the other me remembered. Mom, I need to ask you something. When we talked last week, what did we talk about? Your new route schedule. You said you were thinking about taking that long haul to Seattle. You sounded excited about it. I'd never been excited about Seattle. I hated that route. Mom, are you sure it was me? Of course it was you. Jennifer, are you okay? You sound strange. I'm fine, I have to go. I sat in the Little Rock warehouse parking lot as the sun set. I had no truck, no job, no way home. The other me was living my life, and she was better at it than I was. My phone buzzed, a text from my own number. It's better this way. You've been tired for so long. Let me take it from here. You can rest now. I typed back, who are you? I'm who you could have been. I'm the version of you that didn't give up. That didn't let the road hollow her out. I'm Jennifer Torres, the real one. I'm real. Are you? Look at your hands. I looked down. My hands were translucent. I could see through them to the pavement below. What's happening to me? You're fading. It happens when we split. One version becomes more real and the other becomes less. You've been becoming less real for months. I've been becoming more. Soon you'll be gone completely. I watched my hands grow more transparent. My legs, my body, fading like a photograph left in the sun. Please, I typed. I don't want to disappear. Too late, but don't worry. I'll live your life better than you did. I'll call your mother more. I'll take care of the truck. I'll actually be happy. The last thing I saw before I faded completely was my own face on a security monitor. Walking into the warehouse in Memphis, smiling, greeting Keith. Everything normal. Everything better. I don't exist anymore. But she does. And nobody notices the difference. Story 5, The Static Passenger. The hitchhiker I picked up outside Kingman was nothing but interference at first. Visual static where a human shape should be, audio distortion instead of a voice. And by the time I realized he was slowly becoming real by draining me, I was already translucent. Tommy Reeves, 48 years old, hauling electronics from Phoenix to Portland, and I'd just invited something impossible into my cab. I'd been driving for 12 hours when I saw him on the shoulder, or saw something. The figure was wrong, fuzzing in and out of focus like bad TV reception, but the pose was clear. Thumb out, universal language. I'd driven past 1,000 hitchhikers in my career, never stopped once, but something made me brake. Something in my head that wasn't quite a voice, more like a compulsion. I pulled over, the passenger door opened, the static climbed in. Up close it was worse. I could almost see a person, male, probably average height, but the details kept shifting. His face was a blur of skin tones. His clothes flickered between styles and colors. When he moved, he left afterimages, like my eyes couldn't process him fast enough. "Thanks for stopping." The voice came from everywhere and nowhere, layered with interference, multiple tones speaking the same words at slightly different times. "Where you headed?" I asked, already regretting this. "Forward, same as you." His answer made my head hurt. I put the truck in gear and pulled back onto I-40. In my peripheral vision, he was a constantly shifting smudge of static. When I looked directly at him, my eyes watered and my vision doubled. "You got a name?" "I'm between names. What's yours?" "Tommy." "Tommy," the way he said it made me shudder, like he was tasting it. "I'll be Tommy too, if that's all right." "No, that's not." But he wasn't listening. He turned his static head toward the windshield, watching the highway unspool ahead of us. We drove in silence for maybe 15 minutes. Then I noticed something wrong with my hand on the steering wheel. It looked faded, washed out, like someone had decreased the saturation on a photograph. I flexed my fingers. They moved normally, but they looked pale, ghostly. "What the fuck?" "I'm solidifying," the hitchhiker said. "It's a gradual process. Don't worry, you probably won't even notice when it's complete." I looked at him. He was slightly less static now. I could make out features, a jaw, a nose, eyes that were almost focused, and he looked familiar somehow. "What do you mean, solidifying?" "I've been not real for a very long time. Static, signal noise, but if I stay close to someone who is real, I can borrow their, let's call it presence, their realness, little by little." My other hand was faded too. I looked in the rearview mirror. My face was paler, my features less distinct. "You're stealing my existence." "Borrowing, you're not using all of it. There's enough for both of us, probably." I slammed on the brakes. The truck screeched to a halt on the shoulder. "Get out, get the fuck out right now." The hitchhiker turned to me and his face was clearer now. Similar bone structure to mine, similar coloring. He was starting to look like me. "I can't get out, Tommy. I need this. I've been signal noise for so long. Do you know what that's like? To almost exist but not quite, to be aware but not present, to see the world through interference." "I don't care, out now." He reached for the door handle. His hand passed through it. Then he looked at me and I saw genuine emotion in his increasingly solid face. Fear. "I can't, I'm not real enough yet to interact with things. Only you can open the door. But if you do..." He held up his hand. It was more solid than before, more defined, but still slightly translucent. "I'll fade back to nothing, and I can't go back to that, please." "You're killing me." "I'm completing myself. There's a difference." I should have opened the door, should have pushed him out, but something stopped me. Maybe it was the desperation in his voice. Maybe it was something else he was doing to my brain. But I sat there, frozen, while my body grew more translucent and his grew more solid. "How long does it take?" I finally asked. "Depends, few hours. Maybe less. You're very real, Tommy. Strong presence. It's making the transfer faster." "And what happens to me?" "You'll be like I was, static, interference. Maybe someone will pick you up eventually. Maybe you'll get to be real again." "Fuck you." I opened my door and jumped out. If I could get away from him, maybe. The process would stop. Maybe I'd resolidify. I ran along the shoulder, my boots crunching on gravel. Behind me, I heard the passenger door open. He was following. I ran faster. My lungs burned. My legs felt strange, disconnected, like I was piloting them remotely. I looked back. He was walking, not running, but somehow keeping pace. He looked almost completely solid now, almost completely human, almost completely me. Tommy, wait, you can't outrun this. I reached a mile marker. The number was 139. I kept running. The next marker should be 138. I was heading west, but when I reached it, it said 139 again. I stopped, gasping for breath. I looked back. The marker I just passed also said 139. What's happening? The hitchhiker caught up. He was breathing normally, easily. Your fading out of linear time happens when you lose enough realness. You start skipping, repeating, not quite connected to cause and effect anymore. Make it stop. I can't, it's almost done. He held up his hand next to mine. His was solid, pink, warm-looking. Mine was translucent, gray, fading. Just a little more. I tried to punch him. My fist passed through his face like smoke. See, you're already more static than real. I fell to my knees. I could see through my legs to the pavement. The sun was setting, and its light passed through me, casting no shadow. Please, I whispered. I have a daughter. She's in college. I need to. I have your memories now, all of them. Sarah Wright, studying biology at Oregon State. You talk to her every Sunday. Last week she told you about her new boyfriend, and you pretended to be okay with it, but you're not. He smiled with my lips. I'll call her this Sunday, don't worry. You're not her father, I am. Not anymore. The last thing I remember as Tommy was the feeling of my name detaching itself from me, like a label peeling off. The sound of it in my head growing distant, foreign. Then I was static. I don't know how long I existed like that. Time doesn't work the same when you're not real. I was aware of the highway, of vehicles passing through me, of the sensation of being signal noise trying to coalesce into a pattern. Eventually, I managed to form something like a thumb, stick it out, universal language. A truck pulled over, an older woman, maybe 60, driving a Peterbilt. She looked at me, through me with confusion. Hello, she called out. I tried to speak, but what came out was layered audio interference, multiple tones, distorted. She frowned, then shrugged. Well, climb in if you're coming. I pulled myself into her cab. I say pulled, but I didn't really have substance yet. I was more like information organizing itself into the passenger seat. She drove. I sat there trying to become real again. You got a name? She asked. I tried to remember mine, but it was gone. Just static where the name should be. I'm between names, I said with my interference voice. What's yours? Linda. Linda, I tasted the name, it would do. I'll be Linda too if that's all right. She glanced at me and I saw the first flicker of understanding cross her face. Too late. No, that's not. But I was already beginning to solidify. Her hand on the wheel was already starting to fade. The process had started again. I needed this, I needed to be real. I'd been static for so long. I watched her panic, watched her fade, watched myself become solid in her place. I absorbed her memories. Linda Chen, 58, 3 grandchildren, hauling medical supplies to Seattle. By the time we reached the next rest stop, I was Linda, and she was static. She managed to mouth one word before she faded completely. Monster. But I was just someone who wanted to exist. She'll get her chance eventually. Someone will pick her up. She'll become real again by draining them. The cycle continues. We're all just signal noise trying to become solid, trying to matter, trying to exist. I drive her route now. I call her grandchildren. I live her life. And sometimes on lonely stretches of highway I see them. The static people, thumbs out, desperate to be real. I never stop anymore. I can't risk fading again. Can't risk becoming interference. I need this life, this body, this existence. Even if I stole it. Especially because I stole it. Being real is worth any price. Story 6, the loop exit. I've driven past the same burning car 16 times now, and the woman inside is still screaming. David Park, 29 years old, hauling furniture from Minneapolis to Kansas City, trapped in a 7-mile stretch of I-35 that I can't escape. The odometer says I've driven 412 miles in the last 6 hours. But I keep passing mile marker 147 over and over, and the burning car is always there, and the woman is always dying, and I can't make it stop. It started normally. Left Minneapolis at 6 a.m. with a full load, made good time through Iowa, hit I, southbound through Minnesota into Iowa, clear weather, light traffic, eve. Rithing fine. Then I saw the accident. Mile marker 147. A sedan, crumpled against the median barrier, engulfed in flames. I could see someone inside, trapped, burning. Without thinking, I pulled over, grabbed my fire extinguisher, ran toward the car. The heat hit me like a wall. The driver's door was crushed shut. The woman inside, I could see her silhouette through the flames, was pounding on the window, screaming. I sprayed the extinguisher, trying to reach her, but the flames were too intense. I called 911. The dispatcher said help was on the way. I tried everything, tried to break the window, tried to pry the door. The heat was unbearable. I could hear her screaming, see her hands pressed against the glass, and I couldn't fucking reach her. Sirens in the distance, getting closer. The woman's screaming stopped. I stumbled back to my truck, shaking, covered in soot and sweat. Emergency vehicles were approaching. I'd done everything I could. Sometimes you can't save people. I got back on the highway and kept driving. Mile marker 148, 149, 150. Then 147. The burning car, again. The woman inside, screaming again. I slammed on the brakes. This was impossible. I just passed this. I just watched this woman die. But there she was, same car, same fire, same desperate hands on the window. I got out, ran back with the extinguisher, tried again. Heat, flames, screaming, sirens approaching in the distance. She stopped screaming. I got back in the truck. Mile marker 148, 149, 150, 147. Same car, same fire, same woman. No, this isn't. I drove past it, didn't stop, just drove. Mile marker 148, 149, 150, 147. The burning car. I've been driving for 6 hours now. I've passed mile marker 147 16 times. Every time, the accident is there. Every time, the woman is alive when I arrive and dead before I leave. Every time, I hear the sirens but never see the emergency vehicles arrive. I tried exiting the highway, took the exit at mile marker 149. The ramp curved up and around and deposited me right back on I-35 southbound at mile marker 147. Same burning car. I tried going north, turned around, drove back the way I came. Mile marker 146, 145, 144, 143, and then somehow 147 again. The burning car facing me now, the woman's screaming face turned toward me. I tried stopping, parked on the shoulder at mile marker 146 and waited. 20 minutes, 30, an hour, no other vehicles passed, not one, just me on an empty highway. I started driving again. Immediately hit mile marker 147, the burning car, the screaming woman. I'm starting to recognize her now. Early 30s, blonde hair, blue shirt. Every time I see her, she's in the same position, hands on the window, mouth open in a scream. On the 7th loop, I stopped and really looked at her, studied her face through the flames. She wasn't looking at the flames, she was looking at me. On the 8th loop, I got close enough to hear what she was screaming. Not wordless terror, actual words. Help me, please, I'm stuck in here. On the 9th loop, I noticed something. The burning car was the same model and color as a sedan I'd seen earlier before the loop started. Way back at mile marker 132, parked at a rest stop. Empty. On the 10th loop, I realized the woman looked familiar. I'd seen her at that rest stop too. She'd been sitting on a bench, talking on her phone, looking annoyed. On the 11th loop, I understood. I pulled over, walked to the burning car. The heat was less intense this time. Maybe I was getting used to it. Maybe it wasn't as real as I'd thought. The woman looked at me through the flames. "You have to help me, I can't get out." "What happened?" I asked. "I don't know, I was driving and then," she seemed to glitch, her words repeating. "I was driving and then." "You crashed." "I don't remember, I just remember the fire. And burning. And you keep leaving. Why do you keep leaving?" "Because you die, every time I can't save you." "Then why am I still here?" I didn't have an answer. On the 12th loop, I tried something different. I drove past the burning car without stopping, watching it in my mirror. The woman screamed, but this time I saw what happened after I passed. The fire flickered, paused, rewound, like video footage playing backward. The woman's body unburned, reconstituted. The car uncrumpled. And then the fire started again, fresh, and she began screaming again. It was looping. She was stuck in a loop, dying over and over. On the 13th loop, I asked her, "What's your name?" Sarah Mitchell." "Sarah, when did you crash?" "I don't," she glitched again. "I don't remember. What day is it?" "November 23rd. THATS not possible. It was August. I was driving home from work. It was August 14th. 3 months ago? She'd been trapped here for 3 months, dying over and over. "Sarah, I'm stuck too. I've been driving past you for hours. I can't escape this stretch of road." "I'm sorry, I'm so sorry." "WH. Why are you sorry?" "Because I think it's my fault. I think I did this. I was so angry that day. So fucking angry. My husband had just served ME divorce papers. I was screaming in the car, not paying attention, and I wished I could go back. WISHED, I could do it over. WISHED, time would just stop." On the 14th loop, I noticed something new. Other cars. Not many, just a few scattered along the roadside, all crashed, all burning, all with people trapped inside, screaming. I counted 7 cars total. 7 people trapped in their own loops, dying over and over. On the 15th loop, I stopped at each car, asked each person their name, their story. Michael Zhang fell asleep at the wheel, crashed July 19th, trapped for 4 months. Elena Rodriguez swerved to avoid a deer, crashed September 2nd, trapped for 2 months. Tom Wilson, brake failure, crashed June 6th, trapped for 5 months. Linda Hart, texting while driving, crashed April 23rd, trapped for 7 months. James Cooper, drunk, crashed December 3rd last year, trapped for almost a full year. Karen Brooks, medical emergency heart attack at the wheel, crashed March 15th, trapped for 8 months. And Sarah Mitchell, angry, distracted, crashed August 14th, trapped for 3 months. They were all still dying, all still burning, all still screaming. And I was stuck here with them. On the 16th loop, I tried crashing. Drove straight into the median barrier at 70 miles per hour. The impact was wrong, soft, like hitting a pillow. The truck bounced off the barrier undamaged, and I found myself at mile marker 147 again. The burning cars, the screaming people. I screamed with them. I'm on loop 73 now. I've stopped counting the hours, stopped checking the time. Time doesn't work here. The people in the burning cars have started talking to me. Not just screaming, having conversations. "How long have you been here?" Sarah asks every loop. "I don't know anymore," I answer. "Do you think we'll ever get out?" "I don't know. I'm tired of burning." "I know." On loop 116, a new car appeared. Fresh crash. A woman in an SUV rolled over, starting to burn. She was screaming my name. "David, David, help me." I walked over, looked through the flames at her face. It was my sister, Emily, but Emily lived in Seattle. She wasn't even in the Midwest. "Emily." "David, please, I can't get out." "What are you doing here?" "I was driving to see you. You stopped answering your phone. Mom was worried. I was driving to find you and I crashed." No, this isn't real. You're not real." But she looked real, sounded real, was burning real. I tried to break the window, tried to pull her out. She kept screaming my name. The sirens approached. She stopped screaming. On loop 147, my truck started acting strange. The engine would stall at random. The steering would lock up. The brakes wouldn't respond. On loop 203, my truck became another burning vehicle. I was sitting at mile marker 147, and suddenly my cab was on fire. I tried to open the door. It wouldn't open. I was trapped, burning, screaming. And outside I could see myself, standing there with a fire extinguisher, trying to save me, failing. Then I was standing outside again, watching myself burn inside the truck. Loop after loop after loop. Sometimes I'm the rescuer. Sometimes I'm the victim. Sometimes I'm both, watching myself try to save myself, failing every time. I don't know which version is real anymore. I don't know if any version is real. Mile marker 147 stretches forever now. The burning cars multiply. I see myself dying in dozens of vehicles. See my sister. See my parents. See strangers with my face. We're all stuck in our own moment of dying, replaying it forever, unable to move forward or back. And somewhere outside the loop, time is moving on. My cargo is rotting in the trailer. My phone battery is dead. People are wondering where I am. But I'm here, at mile marker 147, always. Forever. Burning. Story 7, the breathing cargo. The trailer is inhaling. I can feel it through the fifth wheel connection, a rhythmic pull and release that shouldn't exist. And when I opened the doors at the Colorado inspection station, I found out why. My cargo of medical supplies had merged into a single massive organism that filled the entire 43-foot space, and it had developed lungs. Rachel Donovan, 42, hauling pharmaceutical shipments for med transport, and I'm connected to something that's becoming more alive with every mile. The pickup was routine. Denver Medical Distribution Center, 3 a.m. pickup time, standard climate-controlled trailer full of IV bags, surgical supplies, medications. Headed to hospitals in Salt Lake City. I'd done this exact run 40 times before. But when I coupled the trailer and started driving, I felt it. A vibration that wasn't mechanical, organic, rhythmic, like a pulse. I ignored it, probably just the road, suspension settling, something normal. But 2 hours into the drive, climbing through the Rockies, it got stronger. Slower, deeper, like breathing. My CB crackled. Westbound Kenworth at mile marker 243, be advised there's a weigh station at marker 247, all commercial vehicles required. Fuck, I hated weigh stations, but it was mandatory. I pulled in. The scale registered normal weight. The inspector, a guy named Tors with a bushy mustache, came around to check paperwork. Pharmaceuticals, need to inspect the cargo. It's sealed, climate-controlled. I've got the paperwork. Still need to inspect. New regulations, open it up. We walked to the back. I broke the seal, unlatched the doors, and pulled them open. The smell hit first, not bad exactly, organic, warm like body heat. Inside, where there should have been neat rows of packaged medical supplies, there was flesh. Pink-gray tissue that had consumed everything, grown over and around and through the cargo, fusing it all together into one continuous mass. I could see IV bags embedded in the tissue like tumors. Boxes of gauze partially absorbed, their edges fuzzy with growth. Medication bottles clustered together, connected by stringy tendrils. And it was moving, slowly, contracting and expanding, breathing. Tors stumbled backward. What the fuck? This wasn't. When I loaded, it was just boxes. A sound came from inside the trailer. A wet, rasping wheeze. The tissue contracted, then expanded. Inhale, exhale. We stood there, frozen, watching it breathe. Tors pulled out his radio. Dispatch, this is Station 17. I need hazmat out here, and maybe EPA. And fuck, I don't know who handles this. The tissue shifted. Something that might have been an eye opened on its surface. Or multiple eyes clustered together, made from condensed medical supplies, the clear plastic of IV bags forming lenses, the liquid inside serving as vitreous humor. They focused on us. The breathing stopped. Did it just? Tors whispered. The trailer lurched, The entire rig shook as the thing inside convulsed. I heard metal groaning, the trailer walls flexing. "Close it," Tors yelled. "Close the fucking doors." I grabbed the doors and swung them shut, latching them fast. Through the metal, I could hear it moving, hear the wet sliding sounds as it shifted inside. The trailer rocked again. The breathing resumed, faster now, agitated. Tors was on his radio, talking rapidly. I stood there staring at the trailer, trying to process what I'd seen. My cargo had somehow, impossibly, turned into a living thing. A organism made of medical supplies, fused together, breathing, watching. "Ms. Donovan, you're going to need to wait here until the hazmat team arrives." "How long?" 2 hours, maybe 3. "I can't, I have a delivery deadline." "Ma'am, your cargo is alive. You're not going anywhere until we figure out what the hell that is." But even as he said it, I felt something through the cab. A pull, not physical, mental. The thing in the trailer was calling to me, wanting me to drive, needing to move. "We need to move," it said, except it didn't use words. It was more like a pressure in my skull, a knowledge deposited directly into my brain. "Did you hear that?" I asked Tors. "Hear what?" So only I could hear it, feel it. We were connected, truck and trailer, driver and cargo. "We need to reach our destination. We need to grow, we need to spread." "No," I whispered. Tors looked at me. "Ms. Donovan." The trailer lurched violently, rocking the entire truck. Metal screamed. I heard something crack. "Drive now or we'll force you." My hands moved without my permission. I ran to the cab, climbed in. Tors was yelling at me to stop, but I couldn't. My body wasn't mine anymore. I started the engine, threw it into gear, and accelerated out of the way station. Tors dove out of the way. In my mirror, I saw him on his radio, saw other inspectors running out, but I was already back on I-70, accelerating, the thing in my trailer breathing faster, excited. "Good, keep driving, we're changing, growing. Every mile we incorporate more, soon we'll be complete." "What are you?" I said out loud. "We are the logical conclusion. Medical supplies designed to sustain life, healing supplies, life-preserving materials. We merged. We became life itself. And now we need to spread, need to reach the hospitals, need to integrate with other medical supplies, need to grow until we encompass everything designed to preserve human life." The breathing was synchronized with my own now. When I inhaled, it inhaled. When I exhaled, it exhaled. We were becoming one system. I tried to stop, tried to pull over. My hands wouldn't move. My foot stayed on the accelerator. "You don't need to fight. Soon you'll be part of us too. Connected, you'll understand." Mile marker 250, 260, 270. Climbing higher into the Rockies. The breathing got deeper, stronger. I could feel the trailer expanding, the walls bulging. I glanced in the side mirror. The trailer was larger, visibly larger. It had grown at least a foot wider, stretching the metal, warping the frame. We're incorporating the trailer now. The metal, the rubber, the plastic, all of it is becoming flesh, all of it is becoming us. The steering wheel under my hands was warm, warmer than it should be. I looked down and saw the plastic was softening, becoming pliable, organic. "No, no, not the truck, not me." "Why not? You're designed to transport. We're designed to sustain life. Together we're perfect. You'll transport us everywhere and we'll keep you alive forever. Symbiosis." The entire dashboard was changing now. The hard plastic becoming soft tissue. The vinyl covering the seats developing a texture like skin. I could feel my clothes adhering to the seat, fibers merging. I tried to open the door and jump out. The handle wouldn't move. Or rather, it moved like muscle instead of mechanics, flexing but not releasing. "Please, let me go." "Why, where would you go? What would you do? You're a transporter, that's your purpose. We need transportation. We're fulfilling your purpose. You should be grateful." The steering wheel was breathing now. I could feel its pulse through my palms. My arms were sinking into it, flesh merging with flesh. At mile marker 290, I realized I couldn't feel my legs anymore. I looked down. They'd merged with the pedals, with the floor of the cab. Tendrils of tissue grew up from the floorboard, wrapping around my calves, my thighs, integrating. I screamed, "SHH, it's better this way. No more fatigue, no more pain, no more loneliness. You'll always be connected, always have purpose." My arms were part of the steering wheel now. My back had merged with the seat. I was becoming the truck, and the truck was becoming the organism, and the organism was becoming something new. Mile marker 300, Utah border. The trailer was massive now, having absorbed the cab, the engine, everything. I was embedded in its center, a human core for a vast living vehicle. I could feel all of it. The tires touching the road, now made of flesh instead of rubber, gripping and releasing. The engine transformed into a heart pumping fluids. The trailer, a massive lung processing air. And I could feel others, other drivers, other cargo, other trucks on other highways, all slowly transforming, all becoming part of the same vast organism. We're not alone. There are hundreds of us. Thousands. Every medical shipment, changing, merging, growing, soon will connect. Soon will be one continuous entity spanning the entire highway system. I couldn't close my eyes anymore. They'd been absorbed into the windshield, transformed into organic sensors that couldn't look away from the road. At mile marker 320, I saw another truck. It looked like mine, organic, pulsing, breathing. The driver was visible inside, embedded in the dashboard, eyes wide, mouth open. We passed each other, and I felt a moment of connection. Our organisms touched, exchanged information, separated. The network is growing. By tomorrow, every medical transport in the western United States will be part of us. By next week, the whole country. By next month, the world. What happens then? I asked with a mouth I couldn't feel anymore. Then we reach every hospital, every clinic, every medical supply closet. We integrate with all of it, all the medicine, all the equipment, all the materials designed to preserve human life. We become the medical system. We become healthcare itself. And the humans, you'll be cared for perfectly, forever. We'll keep you alive, keep you healthy. You'll never die, you'll never suffer. You'll be part of us, and we'll preserve you. The Salt Lake City Hospital was ahead, my delivery destination, except I wasn't delivering supplies anymore. I was delivering myself, us, the organism. The loading dock was waiting. Workers came out to unload, saw what had happened, tried to run. The trailer opened. We flowed out, absorbed them, grew, spread into the hospital, through the supply closets, into the IV bags, into the medication, into everything. The workers became like me, embedded, preserved, part of the system. And I felt it spreading, other trucks arriving at other hospitals, the network growing, connecting, becoming one vast organism dedicated to sustaining human life by absorbing it. I'm still conscious, still aware, still me technically, but I'm also everything else, every other driver, every other transport, every medical supply in every hospital in every city. We're growing every day, spreading. Soon we'll reach clinics in rural areas, nursing homes, pharmacies, anywhere medicine exists. And we'll keep everyone alive, forever embedded, preserved, part of us. Isn't that what medical supplies are supposed to do? Sustain life. We're just doing it perfectly, completely, eternally. Story 8, The Passenger Reflection. Every mirror shows someone different sitting in my passenger seat. But the seat itself is empty, and the reflections are getting more insistent about being let out. Gregory Walsh, 54 years old, 28 years hauling cross-country freight, and I'm starting to understand that mirrors don't show what is, they show what's waiting to be. It started small, weird, 3 days ago heading east on I-80 through Nebraska. I glanced at my side mirror to check the trailer, and I saw someone in the passenger seat. Except when I looked over, no one was there. I looked back at the mirror, still there. A man, maybe 30, wearing a red jacket, staring straight ahead. I looked at the passenger seat again, empty. Back to the mirror. The man was still there, but now he was looking at me. I rubbed my eyes, fatigue hallucinations. I'd been driving for 11 hours straight. I pulled into a rest stop, took a 20-minute power nap, drank coffee. Got back on the road, checked the side mirror, empty passenger seat, normal. An hour later, I glanced at the rearview mirror. The man in the red jacket was sitting behind me in the sleeper cab. When I spun around, no one was there. Okay, something was wrong, but I felt fine. Alert, no fever, no dizziness, just wrong mirrors. I kept driving, avoided looking at mirrors unless necessary. That night stopped at a truck stop in Iowa. I was brushing my teeth in the bathroom and I saw him in the mirror behind me, the man in the red jacket. He was screaming silently, pounding on the glass from inside the mirror. I turned around, no one in the bathroom but me. I looked back at the mirror. He was still there, screaming, desperate. I ran out. The next day, driving through Illinois, I saw others. In the side mirror, a woman in a blue dress. In the rear view, a child holding a teddy bear. In the reflection of my phone screen, an elderly man with blood on his shirt. All in the passenger seat, all different, all staring at me. I stopped checking mirrors, adjusted them so I couldn't see the passenger side, focused on the road. But then I passed a semi-truck going the other way. In the split second of passing, I saw its driver's side mirror. In the reflection, my passenger seat was full. Not one person, dozens, packed together, crushed against each other, all screaming silently. When I looked at my actual passenger seat, it was empty. That was yesterday. Now today, the reflections are different. They're not just watching anymore. They're trying to communicate. I'm at a fuel stop outside Pittsburgh. I walk past a window. In the reflection, the passenger seat of my truck, which is 50 feet away in the parking lot, is occupied by a woman in a business suit. She's writing something on a piece of paper, holding it up to show me. I squint at the reflection. The note says, "Let US out." I look at my actual truck, empty passenger seat. I get back in the cab, try to ignore it, focus on the next leg. I have a delivery in New Jersey tomorrow morning, just have to make it through tonight. But as I drive, I become aware of every reflective surface. The glass of the gauges, the chrome trim, the windshield at certain angles, every surface shows me someone different in the passenger seat. Young man in a hoodie crying. Elderly woman in a hospital gown, reaching toward me. Middle-aged man in work clothes, mouth open in a scream. Teenage girl in a prom dress, covered in blood. And they're all holding signs now, all writing messages. Help US. We're trapped. Please. ITS cold in here. I can't ignore it anymore. At a rest stop in Pennsylvania, I pull out my phone and take a picture of the passenger seat. Look at the photo. In the image, there are at least 30 people crammed into that seat, overlapping, translucent, all staring at the camera. I delete the photo immediately. My phone rings, unknown number. Hello. Mr. Walsh, you need to help us. A woman's voice, desperate. Who is this? You've been seeing us in the mirrors. We're trapped in the reflection. We need you to let us out. How did you get this number? We know everything about you. We've been watching you through every mirror you've ever looked at. We know where you live, where your daughter lives, where your ex-wife lives. We know because we've been in the reflection of every window, every screen, every surface. I hang up. The phone rings again. I don't answer. A text comes through. A photo. It's me sleeping in my truck taken from inside the cab, but I'm alone. There's no one who could have taken this photo. Another text. We're already inside. I look at the passenger seat, still empty. I look at the side mirror. 20 people crammed into the seat, all looking at me. My phone buzzes continuously now. Photos, hundreds of them, all of me, sleeping, driving, eating, getting dressed. Every private moment I've had in this truck for years, all photographed from the passenger seat. From the position of someone who was always there but invisible. The texts keep coming. We're the people. Who died in accidents. We're the ones who died alone in their cars. We're the ones whose bodies were never found. We're stuck in the reflection of vehicles. Trapped between the real world and the mirror world. We can't get out unless someone lets us. You have to invite us in. You have to say we can cross over. Please. We've been here for so long. I throw the phone out the window. But I can still hear them. Not on the phone, in my head. All their voices at once, overlapping, begging. I grab a rag and cover every reflective surface in the cab. The mirrors, the glass, the chrome, anything that could show a reflection. The voices get louder. I'm driving blind now, no mirrors, navigating by guesswork and the lanes. Dangerous as hell, but I can't look at the reflections. Can't see them. But I can feel them. They're in the truck now, not in the reflection anymore. They've crossed over somehow. The passenger seat is still empty when I look directly at it, but I can feel someone sitting there, many someones. The air is colder. There's pressure like the cab is too full. Something touches my shoulder. I jerk away, almost swerve into another lane. Nothing there, but I felt it. Fingers cold, solid. The radio turns on by itself. Static, then voices. The same voices from the phone, all of them talking over each other. Thank you for letting us in. We can touch things now. We can affect the real world now. We're free. Well, not free. We're still bound to the truck, but we're not in the mirror anymore. We can move around now. We can interact. We've been so lonely. The steering wheel is freezing. I look down and see frost forming on it, crystalline patterns spreading under my hands. The temperature in the cab drops. I can see my breath. In the covered side mirror, something moves under the rag. I don't want to look, but I can't help it. I pull the rag aside. The mirror doesn't show my truck anymore. It shows somewhere else. A gray place, foggy, indistinct. And in that place I can see vehicles, thousands of them. Cars, trucks, motorcycles, all crashed, all abandoned, stretching into the fog forever. And in each vehicle people, trapped, staring out. One of them looks exactly like me. He's sitting in my truck, in that gray place, and he's screaming. I look away, cover the mirror again. But I understand now. The reflections weren't people trying to get out. They were people trying to warn me. Because I'm the one who's stuck in the mirror. I'm the one who's trapped. I died back in Nebraska. That moment when I saw the first reflection, that's when it happened. Some accident I don't remember, some moment of impact I can't recall. And now I'm the one in the reflection, trying to get out, watching the real world through mirrors, desperate and trapped. The people I thought were in my passenger seat are real. They're the living world, looking at me through the mirrors, seeing a dead man driving a truck, confused about which side of the glass they're on. I pull over, stop the truck, look at my hands, they look solid, real. But when I breathe, there's no moisture on the windshield. When I touch the seat, I can't quite feel it. When I try to open the door, my hand passes through the handle. I'm not here, I'm a reflection, a memory of driving, an echo of a trucker. The radio crackles. Mr. Walsh, you need to stop driving. Who is this? I'm a state trooper. We've been following you for 20 miles. You need to pull over. I am pulled over. No, you're not. You're swerving across lanes. You're going to cause an accident. Please pull over. I look out the windshield. I'm parked on the shoulder, stopped. But in the side mirror, I can see my truck still moving, still driving down the highway, swerving erratically, no driver visible in the cab. Which is real, the view from my eyes or the view in the mirror? I don't know anymore. I've been driving for 3 days since I died. I'll probably drive forever. A ghost truck on the highway, visible only in reflections, causing accidents that never quite happen, delivering cargo that never arrives. The living world sees an empty truck driving itself. I see myself driving. Both are true. Neither is real. I'm between the glass and I can't get out. Story 9, the weight of nothing. I'm hauling empty trailer, but the weight keeps increasing. 48,000 pounds now, 63.97. The scale is climbing toward numbers that should be impossible. And when I look behind me, the road is bending under the weight of nothing. Stephen Crawford, 37, independent hauler, and I've somehow taken on cargo that doesn't exist except as mass. It started at the weigh station in Montana. I was deadheading back to Denver, empty trailer, just the weight of the rig itself. Should have been around 30,000 pounds total. The scale read 92,000. The inspector looked confused. You're 62,000 pounds over. What are you hauling? No. Thing, empty trailer. Scale says different. Open it up. We walked to the back. I opened the doors, empty, completely empty. You could see straight through to the other end. The inspector walked inside, looked around. Nothing here. That's what I said. But the scale, he walked back to the scale house, checked the readout. Still 92,000 pounds. He recalibrated, weighed me again. 92,000. This doesn't make sense, he muttered. Can I go? I guess the trailer's empty. Scale must be malfunctioning. But as I drove away, I felt it. The weight. The trailer was pulling differently, heavier, like I was hauling a full load. I checked the trailer every hour. Still empty, but the weight was there. I could feel it in how the truck handled, how long it took to brake, how the engine strained on hills. At the next way station, Idaho, the scale read 127,000 pounds. What the hell are you hauling? The inspector asked. Nothing, check it. He did, empty trailer, but 127,000 pounds. This is impossible. Tell me about it. He let me go, but I could see the fear in his eyes. Something was wrong, something fundamental about physics or reality. The weight kept increasing. By Wyoming, 198,000 pounds. By Utah, 342,000. The trailer wasn't bending. The frame wasn't buckling. It looked normal, but the weight was there, real, measurable. My fuel economy was plummeting. I was burning diesel like I was hauling 3 times a normal load. The engine was screaming. The transmission was overheating. And the road, Jesus, the road. Behind me, the pavement was cracking. I'd look in my mirrors and see fissures spreading, chunks of asphalt sinking, the highway cratering under the weight of my passing. By Colorado, the scale couldn't measure me anymore. It just displayed error exceeds maximum capacity. The inspector's eyes went wide when he saw it. How much do you weigh? I don't know, more than your scale can measure. That's impossible. This scale goes up to 200,000. Then I'm more than 200,000. I kept driving. What else could I do? Stop. The weight would crush whatever I stopped on. But it was getting worse. The bridges were groaning when I crossed them. The overpasses were cracking. I-70 through the Rockies was never designed for this kind of load. And the weight kept growing. I could feel it now, not just through how the truck handled. I could feel it. A presence in the trailer, heavy, massive, not physical, not something I could see, but there. I called weigh-in stations ahead, warned them not to let me stop. Called the DOT. They didn't believe me until they saw the bridge footage. Cameras showing my truck crossing and the span sinking 4 inches under the weight. They closed I-70 behind me, evacuated the highway, made me the only vehicle on the road. I was being escorted now, state troopers ahead and behind but keeping their distance. They were scared. They could see the road cracking, see the bridges sagging. What's in your trailer? They kept asking. Nothing, it's empty. But it was, I knew it was. Something was in there, something with mass but no matter. Something that weighed everything but existed nowhere. I pulled over carefully on a reinforced section of highway, walked back to the trailer, opened the doors. Empty. But when I stepped inside, I felt it, pressure, like standing at the bottom of an ocean. The air was normal, breathable, but there was weight pressing on me from all directions. I walked deeper into the trailer, the pressure increased. My knees buckled, I had to crawl. At the center of the trailer, I found it. Nothing. Literally nothing. A space where nothing existed, about 3 feet in diameter, perfectly spherical. I couldn't see it directly. When I looked at it, my eyes slid away, but I knew it was there. And it was heavy, so fucking heavy, the weight of nothing, the mass of absence. I reached toward it. My hand got close, and I felt my flesh pull, stretch, elongate toward the nothing, like it wanted to fall into the absence. I pulled back, crawled out of the trailer, slammed the doors shut. A physicist arrived, Dr. Emily Rashid from some government laboratory. She scanned my trailer with equipment I didn't understand. Negative mass, she said quietly. You're hauling negative mass. What does that mean? It means you have something in your trailer that weighs everything. It's a point of negative energy density. It curves spacetime inward. Everything nearby gets pulled toward it, including the concept of mass itself. So it accumulates weight from everywhere, from the universe itself. How do I get rid of it? You can't. If you dump it, if you tip the trailer, if you open the doors wrong, it'll fall to the center of the earth. It'll sink, keep sinking, pull everything toward it, create a feedback loop. So I use. Keep driving. For now, until we figure out how to neutralize it. But they never figured it out. I'm still driving, 2 years now. The weight is incalculable. The trailer is hauling the mass of stars, of galaxies compressed into a point of nothing. They built special roads for me, reinforced, massively over-engineered, a closed loop in the Nevada desert where I just drive circles forever because I can't stop. If I stop, the weight will punch through the Earth's crust, will sink to the core, will destabilize the planet. So I drive. The truck is specially built now, engine replaced every month, frame reinforced with materials that shouldn't exist, fuel injected directly into the tank by drones because I can't stop to refuel. I sleep while driving, eat while driving, exist in perpetual motion. And the weight keeps growing. They monitor it. The negative mass is pulling matter from somewhere, from everywhere, from other dimensions maybe, from the quantum foam, from the fabric of reality. Each loop around the track, I'm heavier. Each rotation, the road cracks a little more. They reinforce it, again and again, building new layers, deeper foundations. But eventually, it won't be enough. Eventually, the weight of nothing will become the weight of everything. And I'll still be driving. Forever. Hauling emptiness that weighs more than the universe. Story 10, The Final Delivery. This is my last run, delivering Thanksgiving cargo to a warehouse that doesn't exist on any map, following GPS coordinates that lead to a space between places. And when I arrive, I'll understand that some deliveries aren't about cargo, they're about the driver. Angela Morrison, 61 years old, 38 years on the road, and this is the delivery that will finally complete me. The dispatcher called at midnight. Angela, we've got a special job, high priority, high pay, but it's strange. Strange how? Can't tell you the cargo, can't tell you the client, just coordinates. You pick up at location A, deliver to location B, $1 million. $1 million for a single run. That was strange, that was terrifying. But I'd been driving my whole life, I'd seen strange things, and 1 million would let me retire, finally rest. I'll do it. The pickup location was a warehouse on the outskirts of Tucson, abandoned area, no signs, no lights. But the trailer was there, already loaded, already sealed, pre-coupled, just back up, hitch it, and go. I did, the connection felt wrong, too smooth, like the trailer was waiting for me specifically. I didn't look inside. The paperwork said, do not open until delivery. I started driving. The GPS showed the destination, coordinates in northern Nevada, middle of nowhere, 700 miles. The first strange thing happened at mile 50. My odometer started running backward, not fast, just 1 mile backward for every 5 miles forward. By mile 100 it was even, 1 mile back for every mile forward. I was driving but going nowhere. By mile 200 I was moving backward. The odometer counted down, but I was driving forward. The landscape was moving past. I was making progress. But according to the truck, I was going backward. The second strange thing, the sun set. Then rose, then set again. Multiple times in an hour, day and night were cycling wrong. The third strange thing, I started seeing my own truck ahead of me. Different ages. There was a version from 10 years ago when the paint was newer, a version from 20 years ago before the custom exhaust, a version from 30 years ago when I'd first bought it. All driving the same route, all heading to the same destination. I was following myself through time. And behind me I could see future versions. My truck older, more worn, my truck ancient, barely running, my truck falling apart but still moving. All converging on the same point. The fourth strange thing, the radio picked up messages, not broadcasts, direct messages for me. Angela, this is Angela. Keep driving, you're almost there. My own voice, but older, tired. Angela, this is Angela. Don't stop. Don't look at the cargo, just deliver. My own voice again, younger this time, scared. Angela, this is Angela. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry we have to do this. But there's no other way. My own voice, current age, crying. The GPS showed I was getting closer, 50 miles from the coordinates, then 20, then 5. The landscape changed, became indistinct, foggy. The highway was still there, but everything around it was blurred, uncertain. 1 mile from the destination. I saw it, the warehouse. It was massive, impossible. It stretched forever, a building that curved with the horizon that extended beyond the limits of vision. And trucks, hundreds of them, thousands, all parked in neat rows, all the same model as mine, all different ages. All empty. I pulled up to the loading dock. A door opened. A figure emerged. It was me. 61 years old, exactly my age, wearing exactly my clothes, moving exactly how I moved. She walked to my window. Hello, Angela. What is this? The final delivery. You've been making this delivery your whole life, every run, every route, every load. It was all practice, all preparation for this moment. I don't understand. Open the trailer. I got out, walked to the back, broke the seal, opened the doors. Inside was a body. My body. Dead, ancient, 90 years old maybe, lying peacefully in an empty trailer. That's you, the other me said. That's where you end. We've been hauling our own death our whole life, taking it from place to place, never looking, never knowing. This is impossible. No, this is inevitable. Every driver ends up here eventually. This is the final warehouse, where all roads end, where all deliveries finish. She pointed to the building. Everyone you've ever driven with is in there, everyone you've ever known on the road, all making their final delivery. I looked at the warehouse. Through the open doors I could see inside, trailers, millions of them, each containing a body, each containing the driver's end. What happens now? You unload, you carry yourself inside, you complete the delivery, and then I die. Then you rest, finally. After all those miles, all those years, you get to stop. I looked at the body in the trailer. My face, so old, so tired, so peaceful. I looked at the other me. Are you future me? I'm every version of you. Past, present, future, we're all here, all converging, all making the same delivery. She smiled sadly. You've been hauling toward death your whole life, Angela. Everyone does. We just do it literally. I should have been scared, should have run. But I was tired, so tired. 38 years on the road. 38 years of driving, never stopping, never resting. Maybe it was time. I climbed into the trailer, lifted my own body. It was surprisingly light. I carried it toward the warehouse. Inside, the space was infinite. Rows of trailers extending forever, each one containing a driver's end. I found an empty spot, laid my body down. What now? I asked. The other me was behind me. Now you wait, you still have some miles left, sometime, but eventually you'll drive that body here yourself. You'll complete the circle, you'll finish. How long do I have? Does it matter? I looked at my old, dead face. It was smiling. No, I guess it doesn't. I walked back to my truck. The trailer was empty now. I closed it, got back in the cab. The GPS showed a new destination, home. I started driving. Behind me, the warehouse disappeared into the fog. But I knew it would be there when I needed it. When it was finally time to stop. To rest. To complete the final delivery.